friends, this is 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 here again. We did a video back in November of 2021, that was maybe 5 or 6 months ago at this point, on crewing your Vidar for Borg probes. We're going to do an update for that because a lot has happened in our research. We've finished building our Vidar at this point. We're ops level 35, myself. A lot of you are around this area, and it's time to switch up your crews and what you're doing a little bit. So let's get into it.
Hello, my friends. Live long and prosper.
So way back when we first shot that video, this is the crew I think that we ended up landing on being really one of the best ones that you could run around that time. That's going to be 7. Back then he was of 10, now he's of 11. So we're just going to start calling him 7, 8, and 9 of whatever 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 makes them of by the time that this video is seen by you. It could be of 100 by then, I don't know. But this was the crew that we used when we were farming. You can still do that at this stage in the game. However, a lot of us have transitioned to time being the big factor, not the probes. With that in mind, now we're going to move on to the level 33 systems, because now they, for some reason, put 3 other of these level 33 systems in Romulan space, and these are the ones I actually like to go to. I like to park my Vidar here. This is just a side tip. I like to park my Vidar here, and then once it's here, I will go peek into each one of these systems to see if it has spawned a assimilated Ferengi trader for us, because that way you get extra probes and of course the antique platinum token that you'll refine to get your, hey, look, we just spawned one right there. Unfortunately, we are 5 minutes out. We're probably not going to get that one, but that can happen. That's why we like to pause right there. Is you got basically 3 chances to do that, to spawn one. I've been able to spawn it in 2 zones back to back before. It doesn't look like we did that this time. However, that's just a quick bonus tip, is to go park your Vidar here before you go peek into those systems, because looking into those systems, if hostiles have not spawned yet, it will spawn them, and that has a chance to spawn your assimilated Ferengi traders, which of course are highly sought after by a lot of people because they are carrying, let's see, this one has 12,000 of the probes, this one only has 3.5, so they have a lot of probes, and they've got our shiny little Latinum Antique. Now that we're doing the rules of acquisition, 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵, can't you change this guy to be like an assimilated Ferengi actually, instead of a Borg probe number 8 or something? Anyhow, with that aside, we're going to focus on the crews that we use at, I'm around ops level 35. A lot of the people that I play with are between 33 and up to their 40s. So we're going to discuss crews that you'll use at this stage in the game to maximize the time, not necessarily the probes that you get when you make this trip out here to this space. So I will preface this by saying the rank, the level of your officers is greatly going to factor into what your optimal crew is going to be. So use what I'm about to share you with a grain of salt. Make sure that you are kind of using this as a reference point so that you understand how to test your own crews to make sure that you are using your optimal crew if you are going to come out here to the level 33 Borg space to try to rapidly get those probes. A lot of the times when you're at this stage in the game, you're only coming out here supplementally because you either want to stock up on a bunch of those probes so you don't have to worry about them for a while, or because RNG has not played very well with you and you have not got the collective bargaining mission very frequently, so you're starting to run low on your stock. A lot of us will get the collective bargaining mission, and that will keep you from having to come out here for a very long time, but every now and again you go through a dry spell and you do have to come out and farm them the old-fashioned way. So we want to do that very quickly. You want to make sure that you are checking into your own officers' ranks and levels. When I tell you what crews we used here, I tested 5 different crews on my ships. I did it without completing any buildings or researches or leveling anybody, so that it was all fairly equal for where I'm at in the game. And I will tell you the ranks and the crews that I used and which one comes out on top for me at this exact moment, and I can tell that it could very easily tip to another crew one way or the other depending on which officers I'm able to rank up first. I will say that your mitigation will probably play a huge factor in this until you are able to fill up your cargo hold of your Vidar. My cargo hold is 301,000 right now. If you'll notice, there is a item now in the store. Thank you, 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵, very much for this. I think it's actually a really great thing. I don't like to go purchase really anything for this game that is not mandatory, or rather that I will probably get at some point in time through the natural course of the game. If I can get it without having to spend the money on it, then that is my preferred way to do it. I don't like to throw money at the game so that I can kind of warp forward a little bit and get to a place that I would get to anyways. I like to use it to augment my play in ways that I would not get ever. For instance, a extra dry dock that you would not get in a free-to-play manner. But 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 gave us a way to double your cargo capacity of your Vidar, which is pretty fantastic. But for me, I have 301,000. So the big reason I bring that up right now is that for a long time, you will be working on your mitigation of your damage until you're able to fill that cargo hold. Then you want to switch to, if you don't have the research that increases your Vidar cargo hold, something that includes your 4 of 11, just 4, because who knows what he will be down the road. But you put him on there to increase your cargo capacity, and that will require some tweaking of your crew as well. Now that that exists, putting 4 on your Vidar is not super necessary if you're able to increase that through the research. Mitigation is the name of the game when it comes to this. The better your mitigation, the more likely it is that you can come back to your base after you blow yourself up on a bunch of probes with a larger haul of these nanoprobes. For those of you who are just watching this to take away some quick advice, I'm just going to jump straight into my highest performing crew. That's this one right here, 𝗂𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘁. This is Pyke rank 1, 𝗵𝘁 rank 3, which is extremely important. Being able to have that no fear ability to give you that 50% decrease to the armor piercing, shield piercing, and accuracy of your hostiles is a very huge thing, especially because the whole reason that you want to use Pyke in the first place is that he will increase the effectiveness of that ability because it triggers in combat. And then of course, 𝗁 has to be rank 5. 𝗁 is very pivotal for so much at this stage in the game. You have to get her to rank 5 to be able to go farm 𝘂𝗂𝗶𝘁. She's very useful for this as well. And if you look below decks, I've kept this screen up for you, is I have been able to stack completely with health down here so that I get my maximum bonus for my health, which helps me stay in the fight a lot longer. This was my primary crew. This is the one I use now most of the time when I go out to that space. I will tell you real fast, let me go check my notes. This crew averages around 39 of the probes that I blow up, and I net 229,000 of the nanoprobes on a single transwarp cell, and I do that in, I think it was around 8 minutes. This is with maximum mitigation. I've calculated that. I get the 71.19 whatever percent mitigation, which is why this crew shines the way that it does. The second crew that I had a lot of high hopes for was this 𝗂𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘁 crew. A lot of people recommend it very highly. I will tell you, I thought it was going to do very well. Let me check my notes on this one. Yeah, I averaged 27 hostile kills every time I went out there and only 176,000 of the nanoprobes, so it's quite a bit lower than the 229,000 I was getting the other way. However, when I switched what I was stacking below deck from health as a priority to defense as a priority, that completely changed the name of the game. It took me from getting 27 hostiles on average to 31 hostiles on average, which 4 more did net me about 205.67 whatever. 205,000, almost 206,000 probes every time that I went out there, which was pretty good. However, the biggest thing that holds me back is that I only have Bev Crusher at rank 1, as you'll see here. She's still an ensign. If I had her at a higher rank to where I was getting my maximum mitigation with this crew the way I'm running it right now, as you see it on the screen here, I'm only getting 66.184% mitigation instead of the 71.19 that you can go ahead and max out with that I was getting with 𝗂𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘁. So if I was able to get that max mitigation, or if my 5 of 11 of whatever, if my 5 was able to rank up so that instead of the 20% I was getting 40% more from hostiles, this crew could also pull ahead pretty quickly. If both of those things were the case, if they are that case for you, if you have a rank 2 5 of 11 and a rank 2 Beverly, I would strongly recommend you give this crew a shot at your earliest convenience. You might be pleasantly surprised by it. I hadn't thought to use this crew right off the bat. The reason is that 1 of 11 has this adaptive shielding. Should mitigate 7% more damage to the shield health instead of the whole health. You're pummeling away at that shield instead, which regenerates in between combat, as long as you give it time if you need it. So you're not even taking the damage to your hull at all. It just goes straight to the shield, and it further increases what your mitigation can do. Instead of taking the damage completely out of the fight like mitigation does, it will transfer it to your shield, which is just as good because your shield's usually very big, and as we mentioned, it will regenerate in between. I will say this crew, however, even though it didn't do the maximum amount of probes, I was able to do it really quickly thanks to 5 of 11 being on there, getting me more probes per kill. 2 of the other crews that I tried, I'll go ahead and tell you about real quick. We won't bother to toss them up on the screen. Instead of Beverly with this crew we're running here, I did 1-5 and I stacked below decks for health. That did not work super well. Consulting my mystical notes over here, I was only getting 22.67 probe kills when I was out there and netting 150,000 nanoprobes on a single transwarp cell. That was not very good or efficient at all. A crew that's even less efficient than that I tested was a update to the 789 that we used previously. Instead of 8, we dropped her. We put 5 in since we picked her up recently. We ran 7, 5, 9. That was a horrible crew because we were not getting our max mitigation, because we are also not able to destroy that hostile probe in a single round anymore. We were only destroying 18.34 hostiles on average, 119,000 nanoprobes that we netted. So it was not very good at all. Where I am at right now, 𝗂𝗵𝘁, that's Pyke rank 1. He doesn't really need to be any higher than rank 1 pretty much ever unless you want him for stats, and because he can get you extra experience. However, Pyke rank 1 is more than sufficient for our purposes here. 𝗵𝘁 rank 3 or higher, I would say. Rank 3 is max mitigation for where I'm at right now, so you might not need to even worry about going any higher than that unless you want to stack another stat below deck. And 𝗁 being maxed, 𝗁 is always a great officer for you to go ahead and max out. Those were the most beneficial for me to go ahead and get the most out of a single transwarp cell quickly. Of course, I could go back to some of the older places and sit there for hours and hours on a single transwarp cell to fill up my cargo hold, rinse, lather, repeat. I don't want to do that. For months, I was out there maximizing my hold so that I could go ahead and get this Vodar to tier 9, level 45. And now that we're there, we just want to go send it out, do what it does, and get it back home so we can move on to something else or put the game down and walk away and enjoy our lives again. With that being said, of course, do not take this as the gospel. Go ahead and use these crewing ideas to test what works best for you. Go ahead and run a couple rounds of the test, because sometimes RNG favors you or really doesn't, and you want to go ahead and get that out. So when I ran all these tests, I did 3 trips out to that space, logged everything, and took the average of those when I told you those numbers as we went through this. Of course, if you are a higher level operations than I am, you probably have higher level research, you probably have officers that have better stats, so you can leverage them, plus other completely awesome abilities. But the gist of this video is that you do want to evolve the crews that you're using beyond that initial 789 crew that works really well early on, so that you're not out here doing this all the time. Because really, if you're going to be farming anything, you're probably going to want to be in 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 at this stage of the game. You don't want to be sitting out in your transwarp areas for hours and hours and hours trying to fill up a cargo hold when you can get most of a cargo hold full in 5-10 minutes. With that said, make sure that you drop your favorite probe hunting crews down below, and we will make sure that we share those in a future update. I'm sure that this is not the last video that we will do on this. It's surprising how nuanceical your crews for Borg probe hunting can be, and I love to hear those comments down below. So leave them in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or join the Discord. Do both, whichever way, and we can actually have a full-on discussion there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate your time and attention. Live long and prosper, my friends. We'll see you next time.